Welcome to DFS Insights. I'm David Geislinger, and I'm joined by my cousin, David Grant Jr. The teams up on the block are the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers.
This is where David and I are going to be giving you our three key players to focus on while building each of your lineups. Sometimes we might have the same favorite plays and sometimes we won't. We're here to give you just a quick breakdown of the three main plays. And so just make sure to stay tuned until the end of the podcast where we're going to give out two lineups absolutely free. And I just cannot explain enough how excited I am for this matchup. Man, how about them Green Bay Packers? I mean, not just beating the Cowboys, they destroyed the Cowboys. So that must have been exciting for you.
I mean, obviously, if everybody watched, the last cast when we did Green Bay versus Dallas, I even projected Dallas to win. Just like every other analysis, TV analyst or whatever online or on TV, projected, they're obviously the better team, quote unquote, on paper. So I'm hoping, history, continues or, does itself here in this matchup, as obviously you guys could tell, Green Bay Packer fan here, and then David over there is a 49er fan, so it's going to probably be a, heated debate, but we're going to try to keep our, biases, to aside as much as we can, obviously, and focus here on the DFS. But yeah, let's get into this matchup and how do you see it? I'll let you start off. Being the number one seed.
Yes, sir. I like the sound of that. Number one seed, baby. So, we got the 9-8 Green Bay Packers coming out to play the 12-5 San Francisco 49ers. We got the over-under at 50.5 points. And, man, minus 9.5 point spread is pretty large for a divisional round playoff game. I mean, that's a large spread. My biggest concern is that it feels like you guys that Green Bay's been playing playoff football here the last, 3-5 weeks. I'd argue the last 5 weeks.
Five weeks
you guys are in a rhythm, playing phenomenal football. I know Jordan Love has, I want to say 20 touchdowns and one interception or zero. I know it's something
like
crazy
20,
like
21
that.
and 1.
Yeah. So I mean, man, and to think halfway through the season or just before, it was like, is Jordan Love our guy? Oh, I don't know. And it's like, man, give the dude a chance. It was his first, you know what I'm saying? And look what he's doing now. So, I double checked the weather, since obviously the weather over there in the Bay can be kind of all over the place. That's obviously played factors in some of these other games. It seems like there's supposed to be a 40% chance of rain. There shouldn't be any rain from halftime on. The wind should be pretty mild. So obviously the weather can change on a dime, but I'm hoping that it's just some solid, good football and, just good conditions so we can see a good game. I'm a little afraid that the Niners haven't played a football game in 3 weeks, just about. But for us, I do think it is a better thing than not, just because we did have some guys that were, dinged up. This has given Trent Williams, our offensive tackle, Hall of Famer for sure. He's our everything. I mean, we're like 13-65 when he's not in the lineup. It's given him time to heal. CMC has been dinged up and just playing through his oblique thing all year. So it's really allowed our team to just rest. And I think you are going to get the best 49er team, which is what you're going to want to see. What are your thoughts on coming into San Francisco, coming off this huge win? I mean, you guys just must be, riding high.
My opinion, and I'm probably, in the the minority here, but I don't particularly like the bye week because I think it has done more harm. I mean, obviously, like you said, the benefits, people get the rest and things like that. I just think, I don't know. I think football is, it's an action-oriented game, and you got to be in the game to fully practice, even with pads and all that stuff. You're not getting that full motion as you would. Obviously, they're all professional athletes, and they played. Obviously, San Francisco has been to I think 2 Super Bowls and extensive playoff runs, at least with all their players. So obviously, they have the experience and hands down way over the Packers at this point, because I think for 90% of our team, this is their first playoff run, which is crazy to even say. And not to mention, I mean, having the bye week's one thing, but then to take another bye week, week 18, I thought that was a pretty bold move. Maybe, playing like kind of like that preseason, half a game, first 2 quarters or whatever. And I mean, I get it. You don't want, something to get hurt. San Francisco's quarterbacks are prone to get injured.
That's what we were. That's what we were afraid of, man. We got down, in the NFC Championship game to literally like
CMC.
CMC being our quarterback.
I think it's going to be an interesting game. As speaking on that bye week, so since 1990, got a stat here. Since 1990, there's been basically 12 teams that have been eliminated right after the bye. So that's basically 36% of the teams that get that first round bye have been eliminated. Keep in mind that I think up like 4 or 5 years ago, they just started doing the 7th seed. So 2 teams were getting the bye in each conference. So a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than 36% with the 2 teams. But still, there has been quite a, and obviously the most recent one probably being the Ravens versus the Titans in 2019, 2020. So, I think this is good. Green Bay just had its first game all season against Dallas where every skill player was available and not injured, which is remarkable. So, it's nice to see that. But, obviously it's going to be a challenge. I mean, I think for either team, obviously they need both. I think need to strike first and keep going. As Green Bay hopefully found out, and I really hope like just because you're up 48-0 or whatever, like keep it going. Like make it 70-0. Like don't play this prevent crap and let them start getting momentum and come back and whatever. Even if the game's over, like keep it going. Like put your foot on the throat and just end it and just there's obviously some few factors, and I'll probably go a little bit more into detail as we start breaking down the players. But some stats here. 49ers are 1-3 when they have 2+ turnovers in a matchup. So I think that's going to be Green Bay's key. We need to get turnovers, as we saw in the Ravens game. Purdy, threw that first pick, and then he just looked uncomfortable. Threw the second pick, and I think it just started getting in that back of his head, and he ended up with 4, and obviously the Ravens got him. But for the most part, he's been pretty clean. So I think we need to put pressure on him continuously, which is going to be hard. But if we can get pressure, we force him to do those throws that he's uncomfortable with, and if we get a pick or 2, I think we can get some momentum going that way. And like I said, like you mentioned, 49ers are so much more on paper wise. They should literally blow out like the Green Bay. So if Green Bay can just plant those little seeds of doubt here and there, that hey, we're here.
We're here,
and momentum's a real thing. So we'll see. I'm excited to see this. So
it's it's all gravy for you guys. This is considered a successful season, if not an overachieving season. I mean, beating the Cowboys at home, who had won 13 straight at home, you know, it's huge. And, you know, riding that momentum.
Yeah. Not only did we beat Dallas at home, we also scored the most points in AT&T Stadium ever.
Yeah, ever. Man, I mean, that was wild. And
so I mean, it's you know, crazy to see. I just keep in mind too, I read that Packers have been underrated against the spread basically all season. So, you know, as the spread, obviously we were 7.5 underdogs against Dallas, and we know how that turned out. I think it's going to be competitive. I think 9.5 is, if you're able to. We're both here in California and unable to bet in that aspect. So if I was able to bet, I would probably pick Green Bay simply for the spread. I think it's going to be closer than the 9.5, and we'll talk more about that, I guess, on our predictions. But I see it as a close game. I think it's going to come down to, you know, maybe who has the ball last.
It could, definitely could. I think it's going to be a matter of, you know, we have the number one offense in football. It's going to be a matter of, can you guys go tit for tat with us, really? And again, Jordan Love has looked great, and we have a top 5 defense. So I think it's it's gonna be a high scoring, you know, a pretty high scoring game. That is a pretty big spread. I'm going off of how good you guys have looked over the last 5 games, and the fact that we've been sitting for how long we have. So had we been playing these last couple of weeks, I'd have a different opinion. I would say it's a blowout for sure. We're just going to smoke you guys. It's really going to come down to what happens in that first quarter. And are we going to come out hair on fire, or is it going to be slow and you know, feet in the mud? That's my biggest fear.
Yeah. With that, let's find out who you think's going to win the game for you, or who do you think's going to win? Not the game. Who's going to win DFS for you? Because obviously those are two different things. Let's go ahead and head over here to the lineups, and we're both going to give you, you know, our 3 key players that we feel, you know, should be in your lineup, and then obviously that's going to probably most likely, if you can squeeze in all 3 based on, you know, the players that David has picked, if he can fit all 3 in the lineup, or the 3 that I have into one lineup, you know, because if you pick all top 3 people, you might not be able to fit all 3. Who do you have starting off here with yours?
So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is 17,500. That is the most I've seen in a single game. You know, I've never seen 18,000. I remember when we saw the 17,000. I've never seen 17 or 17.5 has been the highest ever. I mean, even in any other game. And he, you know, and for a reason. I mean, he's been in the MVP discussion all season. You know, he runs the ball. He can catch the ball. He does it all. He is the spearhead of the 49ers offense. It goes without saying. You know, he's the number 1 play on the slate, hands down. There's no getting cute and being around it. The 49ers are going to go to him early and often. Now, if and when he is successful, and you guys are going to have to, you know, have 4 in the box and have someone extra there to be guarding that, I think that is going to open up, you know, some Ayuk, some Debo, some George Kittle. You know, at the 17.5, that is definitely a large chunk of the salary, and and that with what his ownership is, Um, his ownership is going to be, I'm sure I think above 50%. I know you think, probably closer to,
Well,
at the MVP specifically.
no, I'm thinking. Sorry, I mean, I'll talk about it after your players, but
Uh,
uh, yeah, no. Well, I'll say right now, I think
what,
McCaffrey will be
I,
at least 80% owned overall, 50
oh,
plus,
okay.
50 plus in MVP.
Oh, wait. No, no. Okay. Yeah, I think he's going to be, yeah, I see it between 50 and 60, 65. I do think people are going to try to find ways around it because you can build a super solid lineup, you know, having him out, seeing that the next guy down is Jordan Love at 15,000, and Love has been absolutely crushing it. And at 2,500 less, I mean that's it's just really big when constructing your lineups. But uh, even though he's not in my free lineup because he's the number one play on the slate to me, he has he is the spearhead of our offense. So our whole offense begins with him, and it's going to end with him. So that's my first play. My my well, put it this way. I mean, it's I don't want to go too crazy because everybody knows who Christian McCaffrey is. It's kind of like he's the most expensive guy, so it's not like I'm telling you something that you guys don't know. I'm just reiterating it, and also just be aware Green Bay does allow around 20% more fantasy points to running backs when they're away, at least over the last 9 games. um, and he does it all. He doesn't just run it, he does other things. So that's going to lead me into my second play. I'm going to be going over to wide receiver. It was hard for me to pick between Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Um, it's like kind of what swayed me was Deebo's red zone targets over the last 3 games. Um, and it's really the red zone that we seem to find and make plays for Deebo. So, uh, Deebo has, as far as the 49ers go, over the last 8 weeks, he has the most red zone targets behind Christian McCaffrey. So, for that reason, and we all know what he can do after the running after his catches. Um, Green Bay allows 26% more fantasy points to shorter wide receivers over the last 9 games. They average, around 20% more fantasy points against non-divisional opponents over the last 9. And like I mentioned, he's gotten 5 red zone targets in the past 3 games. And those were all big games for us for the whole seeding and getting this number 1 seed. So at 13,000, it does make it obvious. It makes it real tough to go. It makes it tough to go Christian McCaffrey and really anybody else. But I'll have Deebo in and out of I'll probably be a little exposed to the field on him. I'm going to try to make my differences in other places on my lineup from an ownership perspective. I can, as you'll see in my lineup, I even have Deebo at MVP. He's definitely viable. He's had 2 games where he scored over 30 fantasy points. So ever since he came back from his injury, I mean, it was just game after game after game after game. It was crazy. It was like Kittle kind of took over and did his thing for like 4 games. And that's because Deebo was out. The second Deebo came back, it's been the Deebo show. So I'll have a ton of exposure to him. And then my number 3 play is going to be Jordan Love. He's just been playing too well against, I understand that the Niners are we're head and shoulders above the other teams, besides Baltimore. We're definitely I think we are the number 1 team in the NFL. Obviously, I'm biased. On paper, it is to be argued. However, Jordan Love, he's averaging 25 fantasy points in what's considered, being a big underdog type game, he's showing up. He's averaging close to 20 fantasy points over 15 games. Some of the downside, though, is, San Francisco is in the top 10, only allowing one passing touchdown a game. When we're at home, basically we allow 15% less pass attempts. San Francisco has allowed 32 to 35% more fantasy points to quarterbacks when we are at home. And that's typically because we dominate at home. So the other team is usually playing from behind. And if you game script that's the most likely game script to be happening, I could see Jordan Love airing it out. Basically, I know we only do top 3 plays. I have to throw in a fourth, which is going to be Wicks going to a receiver. Obviously, when you pick a quarterback, you want to pair him with a receiver. And, Jaden Reed has been my favorite guy to watch for the Green Bay Packers. I was surprised for him to not be as involved if you told me that the score was like 46 to whatever it ended up being, 30, it was some, it was the garbage time, whatever. But if you told me that you guys scored, that Green Bay had 46 points and that Jaden Reed didn't score a touchdown or didn't have at least 10 fantasy points, I would say there's no way. You must be lying, because it's just crazy how much Love has been able to spread it out. And with Dontavian, he is at 9K, because we got Reed at 10.5, we got Dobbs at 10. So that 9K, and with what Wicks's upside is, I just think he's been coming through really the last 4 games for you guys. The targets, okay, so he had 2 targets, but he had 2 catches and a touchdown. That's viable at 9,000. Against the Bears, he had 7 targets, 6 catches, 61 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then against Carolina, he had 2 targets, 2 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. Those are his, last 3 games. You guys are really finding him in the red zone. It's mainly Aaron Jones for you guys, and Wicks has definitely been doing work in the red zone. So that's going to be one of my big plays that I like for Green Bay. So I know that's 4. We usually do 3 because of the matchup. Diehard 49er fan, diehard Green Bay fan. Trying to give you a little extra information. So what are your thoughts on my picks? Just kind of want to touch on them, and then let's hear what you got cooking.
Yeah, I'll try to make it brief. Yeah, we're going a little long, like you said. Obviously these are both our teams, so. But yeah, we like to usually typically keep it about 20 minutes long, but it's going a little longer. But I like the picks. Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Just some extra things there. Basically, 49ers are 10-1 when he has over 75 rushing yards. So obviously, it's in Green Bay's best interest to limit that. That's easier obviously said than done, as he's even in basically contention for MVP talk, which typically running backs aren't even mentioned in those talks. So yeah, being there, and not to mention he's a runner. He receives it and he also throws it. He's even thrown a touchdown here and there. So so definitely Green Bay is going to need to at least limit him. I say, let someone else beat you, but, as good as Christian McCaffrey is, Debo's just as good, Ayuk and Kittle, so you kind of got to limit all of them. Jordan Love, like you mentioned, he's lights out. I'll talk a little bit more about him, as he is one of mine. Debo Samuel's same as Jordan Love. He is one of mine. And then Wicks, I like him. It's just hard to pick a Green Bay receiver, and I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm not saying they're all top all-stars and stuff yet. But over the last 18 games, Green Bay's had 9 different receiving leaders. And they're all basically similar price, right? So you have Jaden Reed at 10.5, Dobbs 10, Watson 9.5, Wicks 9, Tucker Kraft 8, Musgrave 7.5. So they're all similar, and it's like, who's gonna be that target? Moving on to my 3, I'm gonna start off with Jordan Love. It's kind of hard, obviously, not to last. He's 22-1 touchdowns last 9 games. He's basically 71% completion rate, averaging about 8.5 yards a catch or a pass. Passer rating's about 117. However, if you consider that, but fantasy point wise, I think he's definitely viable in the MVP, and at 15K, I think he will be decently owned as an MVP, especially in these larger tournaments, because in order to, unfortunately, you're really hoping McCaffrey, fails, because he's going to be so highly owned in the MVP. So to kind of set you aside, you need him to fail. That way someone else, you're not competing against that many people or whatever.
Quick question: Do you play a guy that's 17.5 and take the ownership off and put him in a flex? Is that viable?
I said no before, but he was at 17K and he ended up being an optimal, but not at MVP. So I've seen it before. So
because it cuts the ownership, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He'll be more highly owned at MVP than he will be in the flex. So that could be.
I would just be hard. I would be hard pressed to, unless it's Jordan Love there. I mean, throwing Brock Purdy in there, it would be kind of hard, because then Christian McCaffrey, you're still looking at 17.5. You need 2 touchdowns. You're hoping for maybe 100 plus. Right. Multi-yards, things like that. So if McCaffrey's getting 2, unless they're throwing touchdowns, Purdy's not going to probably get that, because he's he's handing the ball off or whatever. So it'd be hard, but it is an option for sure. My first is Jordan Love. He's just been lights out the last 9 games. Obviously, like you said, questions in the beginning of the season about him, but he hasn't, he's not, people comparing him to Aaron Rodgers is kind of ridiculous, but his first season, he's doing great. So hopefully, obviously, it continues. He is young. I'm looking forward to this matchup and seeing how he, actually is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers lost to the 49ers 4 times in the playoffs. We were 4-1 against the 49ers. Rodgers shows up, and now we're 4-5. So this is the 10th matchup. Can we break the streak? Can he break the streak? So we'll see. Next up on my list, I'm actually going to talk about Debo, because I think he is probably going to be used quite a bit. I'm assuming he's like our Jaden Reed, or Jaden Reed's like Debo. He's like the gadget play, so he'll do design run plays and things like that, and he's very effective. Yards after the catch, very aggressive, and like I said, he can't have those 20, 30 plus games or whatnot. So I'm looking, if we're locking down, because he's technically the wide receiver 2. They deem IU number 1. Green Bay is 20th against the wide receiver 2. We've given up 21 points to Godwin. We've given up 15 to Wandale Robinson from the Giants. So now with obviously Deebo Samuel's skill level, it's only going to probably be a little bit worse. So I can see him definitely double digits there. Then my last pick, I'm going to go with Christian Watson, and I'm just saying mainly that because I think we need his, he's tall, he can spread the field out a lot, and obviously I want, those deep balls to go to him and things like that. when he's on, he's on. I mean, 2 touchdowns, one. It seems like I think this is the first time he's actually not on the injury report. Like he's been questionable almost every game, if not out. So to see him without an injury tag is great. So now let's just hope. Obviously, the weather conditions is becomes optimal for more passing. Vice if it does storm or whatever. Typically people lean more run in that situation, but I think Watson's going to need a big game. Obviously, he wasn't really utilized at all in Dallas, but I think that's just because Aaron Jones was fully utilized there. So, yeah, those are my 3.
Do you think his injury? So his snap count did go up. Well, obviously it was at 0, but he played 23 snaps out of a total of 53. Do you think that snap count goes up since we're seeing him be healthier? And I mean, he is your wide receiver 1.
Yeah, but that's the issue. I think that I'm running into, at least when I'm doing my lineups, is like if you put numbers on it or what they do, they have Watson at 1, Dobbs at 2, Jaden Reed at 3, Wicks at 4, and then you have Bo Melton at 5. Right? But if you look at their snap counts, they're literally basically all the same. Like they're all averaging pretty close. I mean, I think Dobbs is getting the most, but I think Christian Watson and Dobbs now will probably share the majority of it. But at the same time, I think they're all basically in the same boat. I mean, Watson, he's a great catcher. Dobbs is a great catcher. Reed's a great, I think they have so many options, and without that true number 1, I think it's throwing teams off for, because they can't be like, oh, I'm going to double team Devontae Adams. I'm going to double team, this. I'm going to double team that. And I think that's what the 49ers have too. It's like, who do you double team because you have Samuels, Ayuk, Kittle. So I think, having that, I saw the word and I'll steal it, that soup du jour of players to guard, I think it makes it challenging, obviously, for the defense because do you play zone and leave the middle of the field open potentially, or do you play man and potentially get beat?
Sure. So one other question for you. I mean, I know this video is going a little long. My apologies. It's just we're hyped on the matchup. It's just your guys' tight end situation with Musgrave and Kraft. I feel like Kraft has kind of worked his way in because I'm seeing last game he played 45 out of the 53 snaps, but Musgrave played 15 out of the 53. But he's still the one that was the red zone target, and got the touchdown.
Well, I mean, if you saw that thing, it was literally Musgrave was wide open. They literally did the little AWS thing. The closest defender was 17.6 yards.
Yeah, that was.
So I mean, Musgrave, I believe, was the number 1, right?
Number 1.
He was the number 1 tight end. He lacerated his kidney, so he was out. And then obviously Tucker Kraft came in and has been, kind of a baller. He's been good. He's been playing really good. Obviously, they had. I think Musgrave was the, better of them, but Dallas game was his second game back, I believe, second or third. So will he potentially see more snaps in San Francisco potentially? But I think they're both, Kraft and Musgrave, are also viable. They're both catchers. They both block pretty good. So if I had, I mean, it would come down, do I need the extra 500 salary? Like, that's basically what I think it will come down to if you're looking at the tight end. Like,
for sure,
I think people with DFS also take like the salary, like, oh, he's 8,000, he must be better than the 7,500.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to maybe set yourself apart, go with the Musgrave. But I think they're both, to be honest, they're both about the same. I would lean maybe Kraft just a little bit more because Musgrave is coming off that injury. So
the injury, and the game log trolls are going to see, 3 for 3 last game, 52 yards and the touchdown. So they are, if you are just doing that, you're going to see Tucker Kraft went 2 for 3, with 15 yards and no touchdown. So,
yeah.
You know, yeah.
All right, well, let's get over here to our predictions. Start wrapping this video up. We're already about 15 minutes over what we usually do. Predictions. Okay. I'll start it off. I think, you know, my MVP will go MVP, and we'll just do MVP and our total score here. So MVP, I'm gonna go with Jordan Love. I think he's been throwing lights out. I think San Francisco has a better run defense, so I don't think Aaron Jones will get the 3 touchdowns. I'm hoping we establish the game, establish the run game, and that would free up Jordan Love to, you know, obviously throw more often and, you know, less little bit pressure. But Jordan Love's very good at just buying a few extra seconds to make those passes. I think he's gonna. Well, I think he's going to, and I think he needs to be the MVP if Green Bay is going to have a chance here. And I'm gonna go Green Bay winning this one. Actually,
stop it.
Yeah, I went Dallas winning the last one, and I felt bad about it because I knew I wanted hope, but I'm gonna go 33-30 Green Bay.
Cool. Whoa. Okay. So you got the over. This is hard to pick. It's so hard. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is the heart. He's the heart and soul of the offense. But if it's not him, it's Debo. So I see Debo having a really, really big day. You guys are going to. The only way Jordan Love hits is you guys being down in the 4th and having to come out and pull out a victory with his arm. I see the game scored being 49ers. I got the 49ers 33 33-24 49ers.
Nice.
So
not
I got us even covering the spread. I think we're going to come out ready.
That's not covering the spread. That's 9 points. 33-24. That's 9 points.
Oh, okay. Okay, is that even the over? Yeah. Okay, I meant the over under.
Got it.
So I got the over, but not the points. Yeah, I think the game is going to be closer than the 9.5.
All right, and then with that, since we've dragged it out, I think long enough for our audience here, so let's give them what they actually want, and hopefully, you know, they listen to the analysis to kind of fully understand our lineups here. Obviously, please. Please.
No one better to listen to.
What?
Sorry, so just no one better to listen to. I mean, diehard 49er, diehard Green Bay Packer fan. I mean, you know, this is what we live for.
Yeah.
Playoffs, baby.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, hopefully just please let us know what you think in the comments. We'd like to, you know, obviously start engaging more with people who actually, you know, are watching the video and stuff to get your guys' input and what you guys think. If you have any other, you know, people you'd like us to look at, and more than happy to, make sure also to like, subscribe, because that obviously lets our video get put out in front of more people. So with that, hope to see you guys on the leaderboards. I'll be entering quite a bit of obviously lineups here in this 50K to first $9 entry tournament to hopefully win it. With that, I'll let David end it here for us.
Yeah, I'm for me, I'm going pretty heavy. I'm doing about 50 lineups into the main, and I'm going to be doing about 5 lineups into the $55. So yeah, if you guys got any questions or comments or want any more in-depth conversation on the building of the lineups, please leave it down in the comments. Would love to reach out. As you can tell, I'm long-winded. I love to talk 49er football. Good luck to everyone out there, and I hope everyone wins a lot of money. See you guys at the top.